I'm Rosie. I'm a corporate partnerships officer at the Marine Conservation Society. I started in 2020 as a community fundraiser, and our community team looked after Work for Good at the time. So we signed up for Work for Good in 2019. And for a lot of this time, we just used it for really micro companies, sole traders and artists who wanted to donate to us, but felt like for the impact that we'd get from their donation, we didn't want to spend all of their donation just creating a CPA. So Work for Good has really helped us bring on board more really small organizations. But it wasn't really until recently when I moved over to the corporate team that the corporate team took over looking after Work for Good and started integrating it into our strategy. So let's see if I can click. Is it going to work? That hasn't gone on to the next slide, has it? Let's try it with my keyboard. There we go. So factoring it into our strategy, we had to look at kind of the cost of a CPA versus the impact it would get. So with all these small companies, we'd like to bring on more small, oh, it's going automatically. Okay, we'd like to bring on more small businesses, but starting to move some of our smaller contracts over to it as well. So we set a minimum threshold that we would have for CPAs. So for us, the right amount for that was about £5,000. So anybody that has an annual donation of under £5,000 would go to Work for Good. And we're just starting to implement that now, and it's going quite well, actually. So I've got a little image there to say 79p of every pound goes on charitable activities. So we want to keep that figure. We don't want that to get smaller. And so using Work for Good, we can use less of our admin time on bringing on new partners and more time prospecting and bringing on board larger partners. I'd say we've had a few little kickback from some companies, especially with the previous model of Work for Good, in that I'm just going to go on to the next slide. It's not going on to the next slide. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, we had a few, we do get a bit of, it's not necessarily negative feedback, but people really want to know why we're passing them on to a third party. So the ways that we kind of mitigate that are making sure it's part of our core fundraising strategy and not just going, oh, okay, you don't want to do that. We don't want to lose you, so we'll make a CPA, because we're not sticking with it then. It's got to be part of that strategy. Yeah, it's still not working for me. There we go. So then really highlighting the benefits. So making sure that the company knows where their money's going and how much of that. So oh, did somebody say something? No. Yeah, so the benefits being more of their donation will go to where it needs to go. Less of with some people, their entire donation could be used making a CPA. So really highlighting that has been quite helpful. Letting them know that it's less time consuming. And we also have quite long kind of approval processes. So we have to wait for our CPAs to be approved by someone higher up, and they might have quite a lot of CPAs to approve. So less waiting times. I always tell people they can get set up on Work for Good in a day and start fundraising tomorrow. They don't have to wait on our waiting times. And then we make sure that each member still feels like they're partnered with us. So we have a bi-monthly corporate newsletter, and anyone that's on Work for Good gets added to that. And then we also do a Christmas gift guide. So all our partners get invited to that. So we make sure, especially on Work for Good, where you've got lots of lovely artists creating beautiful gifty items that everyone gets invited to our corporate gift guide, from our big partners to our small ones. Yeah, and sometimes people want to use our logo and they're not sure about using the logo for Work for Good, what message that would say. So we always encourage people, add it to your footer as a bit of a quality mark on your website. But we provide images, so you can see we've got some people doing a beach clean, so people can talk about our work rather than just putting our logo on things. They can exemplify our work in their social media or on their sustainability blog. And I think that's really helped people feel like they are part of the Marine Conservation Society, rather than just donating. You know, some people don't want to be donating, they want to be involved. And I think when you say sign up to this platform, you want them to know how much of a benefit it is to them, while still being involved in the work you're doing. Yeah, so I think that's how we've kind of done quite well with it. I think Kate, did you say we've raised 19,000 through Work for Good over the past 5 years?
Yeah, it's nearly 20.
Nearly 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most of that time that's been organic, just people contacting us through our website. We're going to start doing a bit more outreach, getting our comms team on board, hopefully having a quarterly LinkedIn post. So we're doing a bit more prospecting now that it's part of our strategy, and starting to attract more small businesses.